Namaskar, everybody. I'm assuming that various dimensions of Bharatiya Jnana Parampara have been covered since yesterday morning. So rather than going into a specific dimension, I thought that maybe I would like to give a bird's eye view about a wide churning that is going on around the Indian knowledge system within the country and around the world. For the last 50 years, I have been in United States working as a psychiatrist, recently took a retirement, and had a passionate interest in Indian knowledge system, although did not have any deep opportunity to really develop some in-depth expertise, but just wanted to listen to, observe, go around, learn, and find out and try to see whether all these dots can be connected. So in the last 15 months, about 65% of the country I have been able to cover. And just I would like to share some of my observations and some of my learning that has happened in the last 15 months. Obviously, there are two broad categories of efforts that are going on. One is by the Government of India or Ministry of Education, especially, although there are many divisions that are working, but two in particular that may be worth noticing. One is called the National IKS Coordinating Office, and that is headed by one young, very fine, dynamic gentleman by name Ganti Murthy. Formerly was a professor in Oregon State University, came here, joined as IIT Indore faculty, later on took a 5-year sabbatical, and with tremendous passion and commitment and drive, he has been going around the country and doing a remarkably good job. So there is one. The second institution that also is quite actively working is the UGC. And just give a few illustrative example of their efforts. Last year, they had undertaken how to train 1,000 faculty interested to learn more about IKS so that they can later on become the vehicle for taking the message of IKS to different colleges. So in 4 different locations, about 250 faculty were trained, and then an exam was conducted, and out of that about 200 or 250 people were selected for what is called training the trainer. How to train these 250 people, through which then later on, this year, they have a plan for reaching out to 10,000 faculty all over the country. So these are just a few of the government level efforts. I would like to briefly comment about some general efforts that are going on. I had an opportunity to at least visit about half a dozen IITs, and some of the IITs that are already having active IKS centers. So there is probably one of the very remarkable and very inspiring example, I would say, is of the IIT Hyderabad. And especially in the field of science and technology, there's one young faculty by name Manohar. He was in industry, later on went to IISc, finished his PhD, joined the faculty position. And that is the first IIT in the country which has launched a MTech and PhD program in what is called in heritage, science and technology. So they have close to about 9 PhD students, close to about 18 MTech students. The first batch just recently, few months back, graduated. And one of the idea is how IKS can ultimately be designed in such a way that it will have a financial viability and an employability potential. On those two ideas, picking up some 3 or 4 different dimensions of IKS and trying to train people or educate people is just one quite remarkable attempt. Similarly, IKS is going on quite actively in IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur, some IITs, IIT Roorkee, where there are clearly some 2, 3 or 4 faculties full-time employed working there. Similarly, one of the another IITs which is working in the field of humanities and social sciences is IIT Madras. They have recently hired about 3 faculties from IKS background. In addition to IITs, there are several NITs also, like the Calicut NIT also is doing quite a remarkable job. In terms of the private universities, also quite a bit of very active effort is going on. Just to quote a few examples, there is a university in Ahmedabad called Indus University, and they have some 6 different schools, and they have a required 2 credit course exposure to every student joining any school of the university, and thereby providing a broad exposure about a familiarity and awareness and knowledge about what IKS is all about. Similarly, the Chanakya University, a newly started university in Bangalore, have 2 related centers. One is called the Center for IKS, and another one is called a Center for the Comparative Study of Culture, which also is very heavily influenced by the IKS frame of reference. Of course, in Pune, there is one MIT, and they have what is called the School of Vedic Sciences. That also is going on for the last 7-8 years and doing quite a remarkable job. Similarly, the Deva Sanskriti University in Haridwar, the Patanjali University, and these are also predominantly, they consist of the IKS type of thing. Interestingly, another observation was not only in a formal setting of universities where many others, for example, the Sanskrit universities also are doing quite a bit. Recently, I had an opportunity to go to the Tirupati Central University as well as the Venkateshwara Vedic University and many others. But there are also independent platforms which are also doing quite vigorous work. I'll just quote a few illustrative examples. There is a group of young professionals in Hyderabad which run under the name called Brahat. One, Raghav Krishna, had a very lucrative corporate job, but had a tremendous passion in his heart for dedicating the rest of his life for the enhancement of the IKS. He created this platform, and about 16 young professionals in the prime of their youth, 25, 30, 35, 40, quitting their job and taking up this as a full-time work and working in different aspects of the IKS, doing quite a remarkable work. Similarly, there is a forum called Indica. Some of you might have heard. One gentleman, a chartered accountant, went into business, made tons of money, but had a deep commitment for IKS, every year spending close to 4 to 5 crores of his earning to enhance the IKS work. And some close to over 20 different initiatives they are running, and that is based in Hyderabad, and several full-time people also they are employed. They have an idea of ultimately launching a university specifically specializing in training the teachers and the faculty, both for school level and the college level. It's yet to start, but that is also one of their projects. Similarly, there's a young couple who used to teach at Amrita University in Coimbatore, by name Smriti and Adi Narayana, in computer science, but had a great desire to work full-time for IKS. Then they created a foundation called Anadi Foundation. They have started a Gurukula, and they have also several of the youngsters, young professionals and young graduates have joined them, and now it's a fairly expanding, vibrant group. For example, just one specific example of their contribution, they decided to bring out a series of simple books on different subjects of BKS or IKS, whichever you want to call it, appropriate for the school children. And close to about 14 different books. So IKS and Ayurveda, IKS and Yoga, IKS and Astronomy, IKS and Mathematics, IKS and Leadership. Like that whole range of books they have brought out, especially very appropriate for the high school kids. And many other activities, especially how to train the teachers and the college faculty. Recently they conducted a 2-day seminar at IIT Madras, where over 200 teachers from a neighboring area had joined for that. So like that, this is another effort that is going on. Just maybe I'll mention 2 more such efforts. There is one called Siddhanta Knowledge Foundation in Chennai. And they also especially bringing out various courses and video material for making the teaching of the BKS more easier. That effort is going on. There is one very good scholar in Bangalore called Shatavdhani Ganesha. He has created a group of about 7 or 8 youngsters who are working, doing research, and in the last several years, they have brought out close to about 40 books on different themes of BKS. So like that, this effort also, I think, is quite remarkably going on. Last year, there was an effort to bring all these different stakeholders to one place and develop a certain sense of confidence that some people are not just isolatedly doing some work in their own ways, but there is a large movement that is going on, both within the country and globally also. Maybe I'll briefly come to the global part. So last year in Pune, in the month of December, about 84 scholars gathered, 49 with academic teaching background, and about 8 or 9 from senior thought leaders of the field, and about 14 such independent platform organizers, and also about half a dozen from the Government of India, Ministry of Education, and some half a dozen industry leaders who are also very passionate about IKS. And about 10 people came from overseas. And there, multiple focus groups were formed, and especially one group that decided to work in a much more focused manner about creating a academic infrastructure that will be facilitative of the IKS journey. So there were 3 ideas that were undertaken. A Section 8 company under the name of IKSHA, IKSHA, acronym for Indian Knowledge System and Heritage Association. So the 3 academic initiatives were whether a systematic and an organized planning that can be put in place whereby in the next 7 to 10 years, an expanding community of scholars, about 108 new PhDs can be generated in different dimensions of IKS. And with that, some group of about a dozen academicians are quite seriously working, creating a panel of supervisors, close to about 155 supervisors they have identified all over the country, different domain experts, so that to work as a co-guide in a given area where the primary supervisor is a good guide, but not having necessarily a specific expertise in that particular domain, even providing some financial good support to these candidates, so much so that we not only should attract people with commitment and dedication, but also good talent, so that more future thought leaders and future lineage of research guides can come out of this. So the plan is that how to provide about 50,000 rupees per month for 5 years for a doctoral researcher and 80,000 per month for a postdoctoral researcher for 2 years. So this whole system is aiming at entering at least 25 to 30 batch of students or researchers to enter between January and July. And accordingly, I'm very happy to comment that about 26 reliable commitments have already come to support these candidates. The second academic initiative is to launch a high-quality, peer-reviewed international IKS journal and a global editorial advisory committee of 14 people has been created. One head of the Department of Humanities from IIT Madras, he is heading the team of the editors, and peer review panels also have been formed. And the first issue will be launched in the first quarter of 2025. 2 issues per year will be there, and it will be a open source, and later on it will be a print version. And one of the major publisher, Sage, is seriously negotiating to be the publisher so that it can have a more wider global reach. So that is the second academic initiative. The third initiative is to organize an annual academic conference whereby the established scholars and newly emerging scholars could have a platform for presenting without compromising the quality of the output, an academic conference. So the first conference will be held in July of 2025, and that is going to be hosted by the Vice Chancellor of the JNU in New Delhi. Just in addition to one last, which is not purely academic, but which is more to create a larger ecosystem and also to be able to mainstream IKS in different dimensions of the society. A international IKS Sangam is being organized in the month of December, and that will be hosted by the Vice Chancellor of the Gujarat University. And there, it is not a paper presentation of a typical academic conference, but where people, for example, IKS and technology, IKS and media, IKS and Gurukul, IKS and entrepreneurs and business leaders. Like that, some 13 different verticals have been identified, and some 8 to 10 people from each of those verticals to be able to come together and see how exactly the IKS effort can be collectively taken forward. I'll just very briefly mention a few illustrative examples of some of the similar effort globally also is going on. In London especially, there is a group of young scholars who have created 2 institutions a couple of years ago. One is called the Earth Charitable Foundation, primarily aiming to mobilize about 10 million pounds of resources for creating a think tank, and the think tank has been named Center for Sustainability. And their idea is that how sustainability is another, what sustains at a micro and macro level is called Dharma. So from the lens of Dharma, looking and examining a range of challenges and problems faced by the West in general and UK in particular, what type of newer ideas that can be generated to make a more meaningful participation in the global discourse, so that we are not just only copy and paste type of whatever fashionable arises in the West. That's all our Indian delegation tends to present. So, so this is one effort. There is another group which is working in Geneva. There is a forum they have created called Dharma Alliance, and based upon some Indic worldview, how to generate a greater intellectual awareness about these different issues on the contemporary challenges, that effort is going on. In US also, there is a group that is working in Boston. They have created a platform called Boston Center of Excellence, and their primary objective is focusing upon Ayurveda and yoga, and with multiple medical school collaboration, they are organizing annual conferences. At least 2 or 3 conferences they organize in collaboration with the Harvard Medical School and many other schools on the East Coast also. So that is one effort that is going on. There is a new university that has come up in Los Angeles called Vayu, Vivekananda Yoga University, primarily offering online BS, MS and PhD in different aspects of the yoga. And they have close to about 38 faculty working with them, and already 2 batches have graduated in MS. PhD program has just been launched this academic year. The Hindu University of America is another initiative that is located in Orlando, Florida. Currently, as 4 months back when I left USA last time. So there are close to about 2,000 students in certificate and continuing education course, about 80 students in MA and PhD, and about 6 full-time faculty and close to about 42 adjunct faculty. And they are expanding and growing. Recently, they acquired one residential Ayurvedic medical college in the state of California. So that is another effort. There is another foundation called Dharma Civilization Foundation. How to inspire people to participate in what can be called as academic philanthropy. I mean, probably as here in America also, the Indian community is fairly generous in donating money for building temples or for doing various type of service activities or seva projects. So not only to build temples of worship, but also to build temples of learning, temples of knowledge, temples of higher education. So with that idea, so they were able to launch a MA PhD program in Hindu studies in one of the largest theological schools in Berkeley, California, called GTU, Graduate Theological Union. Similarly, they raised $1 million for revitalizing the Hindu University of America and funding various scholars, giving book grants, like that, a whole range of activities the DCF has been doing. So ultimately, maybe in the panel discussion, I will briefly, why BK is necessary? What exactly its idea? So maybe because I was thinking of more focusing upon giving a glimpse about an overview of different type of efforts that are going on, I do not want to combine 2 topics. So I will like to stop here. Thank you very much.